We begin today, before I get into the real subject, which we'll get into in a while. But begin with the observation and the recognition of how the natural state of the mind is. Or another way to look at it is, how is the natural state you and I exist most often? So we are paying attention to how we are now. A few interesting facts to be understood. You see, naturally we exist with a certain conclusion of the mind, a certain viewpoint, a certain way we perceive life, and we move with that. As long as that mind is not challenged, it provides a certain kind of stability and comfort. So how I am most often is based on the mind I've created, which in it has viewpoint, has desires, has direction, has conclusions that I hold on. And until it is challenged, it provides a deep comfort for me, and I go on. And ever so often, this mind that we carry, that provides such comfort, such orientation, such stability, gets challenged. And whenever it gets challenged, there is a certain disturbance that happens. And most often, we are not comfortable with this disturbance. So we find methods and means and philosophies to patch it up, like this way. Most of you exist in a way, most people exist, not you. Most people exist in a way, as long as how they are is not challenged, it is good. Which means the mind I am carrying as me is I am left to be how I am is good. It provides a natural stability, it provides a natural comfort, and there's nothing wrong with it in many aspects of life. But it creates one thing. It creates that I don't grow. It creates that I don't move forward. It creates that new is not allowed. So the state how I am have to be defined by a state in which I am preventing myself from ever growing. Because if anything challenges how my mind is, it creates distress. So I must say, if I ask you how you are, when you say fine, which means you are saying to yourself and to others, things are as it is. No growth. So I'm asking, we are beginning today, because I want to go into many, many aspects. I'm asking you to observe the state of your mind, how we are. If I'm asking you, how are you? And when you reply, I'm fine, most often that word I'm fine indicates that my mind and as how I have existed is not being challenged currently. Which means it translates to say I'm holding myself in a way that I will not allow any growth, change, transformation to happen. And this is the general mind. You understand? Why I'm saying this is what I'm going to speak about to you today might challenge this notion, but my idea is not to challenge you. It's not my business. Together? Let's run that by again one more time. The state of the mind that you and I exist in, the state of mind we are, is a state of the mind that holds a certain orientation to keep itself comfortable, which translates to say it never wants to be challenged. If it's challenged, it goes into distress. So in order to hold itself in comfort, actually what it's doing is holding itself back from growing and transforming. And that is the mind that has to be put to rest for at least the next one to 2 hours. Yeah? No, you didn't get what I'm saying. Sometimes I don't get what I'm saying. Again, let's move on slowly, step by step. Remember, my intention is in no way to disturb you. It's very dangerous to disturb people. I'm asking, when we say, if I ask you, how are you? When you say, I'm okay, what does that word imply? That means, how are you existing right now? It appears I'm existing in a way I'm defending myself from growing, right? Does that make sense to you, man? Yeah? No? Because if any challenge happens, I don't feel fine. I feel disturbed, right? If a new demand comes, let's say you live in a flat house, and or you live in a house that is a lift, and suddenly the lift doesn't work, and you have to walk up 3 flights of stairs. Now that's a challenge. You'll get slightly disturbed for a while until you get used to it, right? Because a new demand is introduced to you, and it's disturbing the comfort you have existed. So can I say, the way we normally exist, our day-to-day psychology is to keep ourselves exactly the way we are, and keeping ourselves exactly how we are feels comfortable, does it? And we all want this comfort. Now, what is the price of the comfort? No, you still don't get me yet. There are people with me for 10 years who don't get me, so don't worry. I see some new people. Trust me, the next 2 days you're going to be confused. So, relax. I'm trying to explain the way we are and how we hold ourselves is we hold ourselves in a way we will not allow anything to change. Any changes, that means I'm in duress, right? I'm in duress. So my whole psychology is trying to find a way to patch so I don't grow or change. Now, if you examine that statement, if you live in a way you don't grow and evolve, what would the outcome be? Now, most people's experience of their life or the outcome of their life is because of this simple statement. When I ask you how you are and what responds to that statement that I'm saying. Follow me? If I ask you, how are you, sir? And you say, I'm fine. Thank you. Which means I'm not disturbed. Right now I'm not challenged. So nothing is provoking me to grow. So I am exactly how I am. And that is a wonderful thing. And since you think that is wonderful, you yourself are participating in non-growing. And the outcome of not growing would be what? So now, a little bit more. Most duress in life, most difficulty in life, most challenges in life are actually compounded because I uphold this mind, nothing should change, I should remain exactly the same. Right? It seems to be the nature of the biology. Again, I hope you and I can meet today. A little bit, a beautiful insight that might help. The nature of me, how I am, is to remain the same, based on the mind I have created. So I am invested in keeping me the same. Right? Which means I look at any provocation for change or growth as distress. Which means most often in my life, I somehow manage to remain the same despite what my situation is challenging me. And in doing so, I fail to evolve. Does that make sense to you? Yeah, a little bit, just a little bit. Like I'm going to be traveling in a little while. Wherever I go, in the beginning there's a distress. It's not my house. It's not my country. It's different. And the distress I'm feeling, why? Because somewhere in me, I want it to be the same. You understand? In a lot of these places I go, they speak in strange languages, or at least strange accent. Which means I must say, a part of me wants to remain the same, right? But since I have to go, so I will tolerate that. I will manage that. Somewhere in Sweden, I will still find some Tosa, somehow, and have some similarity, right? It goes on to prove the commitment that this biology carry to keep itself exactly what it is. And I'm not sure whether it's the commitment of the biology alone or is it the commitment of our psychology, which means to say, I am preventing me from growing and keeping me exactly how as I am. And the notion of embracing growth and transformation is rejected. In that, I become obsolete to changing environment. I become incapable of meeting new demand, right? Why I have to state this in the beginning is, you may accidentally use what I'm going to put down tonight, what I'm going to speak to you about, as another tool to remain the same. Am I asking you should change? It's not my business, and I'll honor that. But I'm saying change is a demand. Life constantly demands that of us, right? Nothing is the same. So we're going to begin today, just a few minutes, we're going to observe this. We're going to observe the state of brain we exist, the state of mind we exist, which means we are somehow struggling to keep ourselves the same. And in our brain or mind, we have been convinced to remain the same is good, which means violently we reject any growth or evolution. And in being in that space, one is creating duress for oneself, right? Very good. I would like to speak to you the principle that governs growth, transformation. What are the principles that affects awakening? We'll go into that slowly. But for now, again, we must not fall trap to this tonight. You understand? Because most people's notion of being fine, which means remaining the same, right? Can you follow the simple mathematics? So to keep yourself feeling fine, we have to keep you the same, right? Or at least create a mind that will twist everything to the same. Which means I am not allowing what is here to meet what is here. Very good. For a moment, I would like you to pay attention. Is it possible to live without embracing growth, change, and transformation? It's rather foolish to think we can succeed if you really examine life, right? Very good. But change, growth, and transformation appears scary. But I think it's a greater fear if you don't change, grow, and transform. Very good. Now, in order to break this brain pattern, I would recommend for you to sit a few minutes and breathe. So you switch to, so you're not in that mind of trying to be fine, because I'm not going to help you. For what I'm going to say and probably enter might challenge that, right? So you can shift into a space to say, okay, I will not participate with that mind. My primary concern is not to be fine. You understand? I will not be addicted to keeping myself the same, thinking being the same is an achievement of feeling fine. Together? We're going to just sit for a few minutes and breathe. Can we do that before we begin? I see some new people here. You're welcome. Take your time to understand what I'm saying, because sometimes I struggle understanding what I'm saying. Okay, so if you don't get it from the beginning, it's okay. Eventually, you might get some insights on this. So we begin with small breathing, just to breathe. Because a lot of these things are blocked in your breathing. You're holding on to the breath in this manner. Okay? We just take a few minutes.